Well, welcome everyone to the new channel of a starting of a chapter for these vlogs or content that I've been pretty much wanting to do for quite some time. And yeah, so my name is Trash Boy or aka Pietro Gonzalez, and I've been pretty much doing trash cleaning, for most of my life, and I have absolutely I pretty much went from doing trash cleaning to doing like trash cleaning on YouTube, which I pretty much started trash cleaning uh pretty much as far as like around late 2013. I got in trouble one day in middle school, and you know, uh, I was going to get pretty much like detention. I pretty much had to do trash cleaning, helping out with the janitor around cafeteria area. So that was something that, I sort of had to do, but I have no interest of doing, because I was pretty much like a very very bad kid at young age. And I pretty much I been doing it for a week, and then I think it was till like around like a few days after I sort of like surprisingly like sort of have fun of doing trash cleaning for the first time. And I thought, it was pretty fun. So I thought, maybe I'll continue doing this more, and then, see how that goes. Even the principal was surprised that I even continued doing that. And I guess in some way it pretty much changed my life shortly after that. I have been doing trash cleaning around the school. And I did a little bit of trash cleaning around my city area, like here and there at a young age. But it wasn't really like a completely job kind of thing, which, obviously there are jobs like that for janitor or custodian for places or like buildings and stuff like that. So it was pretty much something that I sort of found myself really enjoying and became sort of like a passion that I immediately, once I have during like nutrition or lunch time. So that's when I just do that and help out the janitors here and there. And so yeah, pretty much I've been doing that for like a few years around 2013 to late 2016. And that was pretty much my first story in middle school. I kind of would like to call these like sort of like chapters or like this whole trilogy of my story in some ways that I pretty much like I even like sort of in the process of doing like comic books, you could say. That was something that I pretty much always enjoy, like reading comic books and such, because like as a kid I always loved reading like superheroes, like comic books and stuff. So that's sort of like the idea of like a comic book sort of story I will have, which by the time I'm recording this video, but I'm not sure if I want to release it yet in a way. So it's something that I kind of would like to do, sort of like a little bit more work to it. But yeah, that's sort of that story that I'm going for, sort of that like anti-hero kind of story of pretty much a little bit based on my life, but a little bit different here and there. And so how I got the name was that like pretty much that first week, that's how I pretty much got the name Trash Boy when like bunch of kids were like just calling me Trash Boy, here's some trash. They pretty much would call me that sort of like that nickname of Trash Boy, like here's the food that I finished, like their plate and stuff. So they would call up my name, Trash Boy. And yeah, it's like there's some people who literally think like that's offensive, but no, it's like to me, it's like I think I'm coming from, as a kid who I love reading comic books, so it sort of became like a superhero name ish or like a character name that I sort of appreciated more. With that name itself, it kind of became like sort of the name I went with. It was never once I ever saw that name as anything offensive about it. So if anyone who thinks it's offensive or not, like it's not like it's not for me. So here's proof of evidence that I absolutely say my own words that it's not offensive to me. I absolutely prefer calling that name or Pietro like G or Pietro Gonzalez, whatever works. Like Trash Boy, I absolutely don't mind. I always cherish that name a lot. And then I want to say around, yeah, 2016 in July, I have pretty much like interest of doing YouTube for quite some time, like doing video games or vlog kind type of content around 2016. So it wasn't really much of a thought of doing trash cleaning around that time period. If only I did, but you know, I would have been pretty much quite earliest like person to do so. But yeah, around 2016, that's when I completely move on because I didn't really had a thought of continuing doing trash cleaning in high school. So YouTube was sort of like it was only like thoughts I would have like doing so. And then, I sort of like gone through many phases in high school that I sort of like really wasn't finding happiness in my life. I even lost motivation doing YouTube like around 2019 and so. So I ended up just literally just suffering from depression that it kind of just continued on for like around 2 years at that time period until late 20 oh no, it was early 2019 that I sort of remembering of doing when I was doing trash cleaning back in middle school. So I thought, I might be I wasn't too sure if I wanted to do trash cleaning at that point because I just thought how different would it be in compared to like middle school, for high school. But I actually ended up doing it, and it probably was probably like even better, even like much greater of a chapter that was for chapter two, I guess you could say, for trash cleaning. And yeah, I ended up actually getting my first very job in the same school that I pretty much didn't really have much appreciative like in the same high school my first 2 years, but I ended up earning some people like respect, I guess you could say, because I was sort of a target figure from most of the staff members in high school. I'm not gonna go into much details on that one, but it kind of affected my mental health. But there were people there who also like appreciate it and also show me much more kindness that I absolutely, you know, it really was such an honor that I even got a job there as well. And there's it's something that I didn't think it was gonna change my life pretty much in a short amount of time. So I guess in some ways, it pretty much it did it twice. From suffering depression to literally getting a job in that short amount of time. And yeah, and I was just really I remember crying like when I got my first paycheck, and man, that was great. That was really great. But yeah, that was really a great run. I was doing trash cleaning around the school and also around my city area. It was pretty great. Um, but yeah, then it was like around late 20 no, this was summer 2019, so like around 3 months in, you know, I was even doing it at a point when I was working in summer school. I was pretty much just doing it for free like in some days. Like my pretty much my shift was done, and then I remember asking custodians like, hey, can I continue helping with you guys? So yeah, they did. Um, it was something that did for like the next week, I want to say, which that's how much I really like enjoy doing trash cleaning so much that I even like just do it voluntarily, like helping out the around the group of janitors. But yeah, so if you guys ever seen my name, like the shirt on that for the name, like the yellow shirt or like Trash Boy logo, that was pretty much made by the art teacher in high school. Which if only I could really say his name, but I kind of prefer to keep it like private, of course. But it was pretty much such an honor, I absolutely totally grateful for him to make t-shirts of those, which it was absolutely like sort of like a gift of appreciation for what I'd done in school and for like around my city areas. It wasn't until the pandemic that took a toll of pretty much everyone's life. It was such a completely different time period compared to like, how many years that has been ever since. But yeah, shortly was struggling to find a job, and ever since then, I've been pretty much just doing community cleanups, trash cleaning daily. Just hopefully, I can sort of make this sort of a career kind of thing. I even went to college, which it was just only for one day. But yeah, it was such a struggle because it was pretty much at that point of the pandemic that I sort of suffered through quite a bit of like mental health crisis and such a like I didn't know I really had a mental health like so bad. Even when I was doing trash cleaning, like I felt completely fine. There were times I would have like panic attacks here and there, but it wasn't really like such huge until some problems got out of the way, and some drama that ended up happening like over the years that I was sort of struggle that it's so much to even explain with that as well. But I don't know if that's something I'll ever mention or talk about as much. But I was obviously if I were, I'm not gonna mention names or none of that stuff. But something that I pretty much been quite a wreck in my life. You would think like all these stories I would have, it would be sort of like a great happy ending kind of thing, but you know, not everything's always gonna be happy and ending for Trash Boy himself, who pretty much will just, no matter how bad life gets, I pretty much would just continue doing trash cleaning, going forward in my life. But yeah, so I guess in some ways, like pretty much around this third chapter, I pretty much combine with doing trash cleaning and also doing YouTube, with those two passions I sort of found a strange way of finding balance with the two. And yeah, so that's something that I pretty much would like to do, continuing on with this. I guess the goals now is to, I always still had this dream remain of doing trash cleaning in Los Angeles, and also building a community cleanup as well. I am a little bit late for that, but still, like I'm pretty much gonna be continuing, try to achieve my dreams